Welcome, everyone, and thank you for joining today's presentation of the Top 4 Predictions of 2016. My name is Amy Duvall, and I'm the Director of Marketing here at Q.E.S. I will be today's moderator, as well as cover the best practices and oversee the Q&A session.
And leading today's presentation is Alex Backer, who is the co-founder and CEO of Q.E.S. Alex will give some great stories to support the best practices. He will review technologies that are available today, followed by the unveiling of the top 4 predictions of 2016. And then he'll provide a brief overview of case studies demonstrating how Q.E.S has helped our customers adapt to the predicted trends. Together, we'll then wrap up everything at the Q&A session. So before we jump into the predictions of tomorrow, we'll dive into some best practices and practical takeaways that you and your business can implement today. So let's start with the 3 best ways to deliver stellar customer service. Today's consumers have endless options when it comes to where to spend their money, so the savviest businesses, from retailers to even doctors' offices, know that they've got to set themselves apart from the pack. The most impactful and low-cost way to deliver stellar customer service. You want people to remember it when they get it. They tell others about it, and they honor it with repeat business. Just as true, people don't hesitate to bail when service is poor. Below are 3 ways to help ensure that customers stick around. First, establish a culture of customer service. From the CEO to the cashiers, everyone should know why customer service is crucial and how they're expected to deliver it. Likewise, management shouldn't forget to recognize staffers for a job well done with cash incentives, extra time off, or other perks.
So for example, here's 3 ways in which I try to set the tone here at Q.E.S and that customers come first. This is Alex. Every time I travel anywhere, I offer to visit our local customers there to learn more from them about what their Q.E.S experience is like. Second, each of our customers gets my direct cell phone number so that they have a direct line to me, and that sets the tone to the rest of the staff that we should always be available to our customers. And lastly, any staff member at Q.E.S, any Liberator, is always excused from any internal meeting if they're with a client for any reason. So that sets the tone that clients come first.
Thank you, Alex. So the second way is to view everything through your customer's eyes and then wow them. Managers should put themselves in their customers' shoes, from the greeting to their comfort level, to the complaints and how they're resolved, and even upon a customer exiting. Your business should seek ways to go that extra mile, whether it's technology to eliminate lines, or walking people to their destinations, or even offering a drink on a hot day. Anticipating customer needs and then exceeding them scores points every time.
So for example, just 2 days ago, I was visiting one of our clients, and I had a question arise about one of their Q.E.S installations. So instead of calling one of my colleagues directly on the cell phone, I called our support toll-free line, and I left a message as if I was the client to see exactly how our customers experience our support. And that allows us to constantly make improvements because we're able to see and experience Q.E.S the way our customers do. So really important to view everything through your customer's eyes.
Great. And then the third on the list is to address complaints and negativity head-on. So no one sets out to create unsatisfied customers, but even great companies sometimes drop the ball. So the best strategy is to address complaints directly and quickly. Accept responsibility, apologize, and offer a gesture of goodwill.
So we had an interesting anecdote happen that can illustrate this. A customer complained that one of my colleagues had used a profanity in one of their regular conference calls. And as surprised as I was, I took it, of course, very seriously and listened to the recording that luckily was available for call. And we discovered that what had been deemed a profanity was actually a sneeze. In fact, 3 sneezes in a row. To make sure that we were hearing that right, we had several different people who didn't know what this was listen to it and tell us what they heard. And every one of them told us, I heard a sneeze. But rather than trying to prove the customer wrong, we just asked the customer what we could do to please them and preserve the relationship and work harder. So, it's not about whether you're right or your customer is right. It's about how you can make them happy.
Yeah, that's a good story. Well, studies show that customers are loyal not by nature, but actually by feeling delighted by a brand. And it also is worth noting that it costs 5 times as much to win a new customer as it does to keep a current one. So when your business focuses on delivering a satisfying experience, you will cultivate lasting customers. Now let's look at the 3 things you should never do in business. Even the most enthusiastic brand loyal customers will only tolerate poor service for so long before they become ex-customers, and often enthusiastic ex-customers, willing to tell anyone with an eardrum about their inglorious experience. All it takes is a long line at checkout, a disengaged salesperson, or a stick to the rules at all costs mentality for a customer to abandon your business and head for the exit. Knowing what compels customers to walk away will prepare your staff to never commit these blunders. According to most case studies, top on customers' I'm out of here list is don't stick to the rules no matter what. Unsatisfied customers simply don't want to hear, sorry, we just closed for the night, or, well, there's no return policy on that item, or even, all sales are final. Instead, if it's between bending a rule or losing a customer, a business has to be flexible.
I'm an immigrant to the U.S., and one of the first things I learned coming here is that people in this country are very good about following the rules, which has a lot of advantages to get society to work well. But when things go wrong, when a rule doesn't quite anticipate the exact situation, that can become a handicap. And so here at QS, we have a policy to allow our liberators or employees to exercise their best judgment rather than blindly follow rules for as long as they continue to show good judgment rather than the other way around. And this can be important in reacting quickly to a customer's needs. For example, just over the Christmas holidays, I took my kids to visit their grandparents, and in doing the check-in, the kiosk for check-in at the airline hung up, and this led to a series of delays that caused me to miss our flight. And the initial policy line was, sorry, you got to pay $1,200 to get it rebooked. And it took about 5 different escalation levels to finally get somebody to realize that that was not the right response in this case and act about it. So you don't want to have your customers to have to go through 5 different escalation levels before they get somebody who can actually exercise judgment in deciding what's best for them.
Okay, and second on the list, don't be elusive. So what does this mean? Well, customers should be able to reach a business easily to get their issue resolved. Simply slapping FAQs on your website or requiring them to jump through hoops to reach a live support person is not the answer. Instead, invest in some quality customer care.
And part of that is about knowing how to deal with problems. It's there that it's when the going gets tough that the tough get going, and that's where the difference gets shown. So here at QS, we developed a method we call C.O.P.E to deal with problems. And C.O.P.E stands for C for contrition. When something goes wrong, apologize and make it clear that you're truly sorry. I can't tell you how much of a difference it makes to customers to hear that you actually care and are sorry about what happened. Second, own up to the problem and take responsibility. Nothing gets solved without somebody owning up and taking responsibility. P, prevent the problem from happening again. So you actually have to do the hard work to find out what happened and how it can be prevented, or at least its likelihood reduced. And finally, E for explain to the customers all of this. Explain what happened, why it happened, and what you're doing to prevent it from happening again.
Thanks for sharing that, Alex. And then finally, the third thing that businesses should never do. Don't make customers wait. People generally understand that there's going to be a short wait to pay for their items. What gets under their skin, though, is when the wait is longer than expected, when they perceive that people have waited less time to be served first, or when employees are seemingly standing idly while the lines grow longer. Instead, consider using a one-line serves all queue system, or invest in a new technology that allows your customers to be assigned a time to come to the counter with virtually no wait. At the very least, inform customers of the expected wait time. Have you ever been satiated by just being acknowledged and informed by a salesperson who stops for a moment to acknowledge you and say, "I'll be with you in just 2 minutes. Let me take care of this and I'll assist you." So how you treat your customers while they wait is very important. The bottom line, always look for an opportunity to impress your customers. They will become loyal and raving fans.
We've often asked our customers, how many people do you lose because of your wait for service? And most of them say, I don't know. I have no idea how many people I lose before they actually get in touch with our salespeople. Well, one of the first things that happens once they launch Ulyss is they get that data. They find out exactly how many people got into our virtual line for service and left before they got served. And the answer can be surprising. In some cases, 50% of people will leave before they end the wait for service. And so, the impact of handling your wait effectively is effectively to be able to double your business.
Great. Well, now we'll take a look at technology and how far we've come with technology. So more than ever, there's a need to deliver better customer service, and newest solutions are appearing every day. Today, we're going to be looking at the ways that businesses can build for the future and conquer positive growth by implementing or even retooling your current technology strategy. Specifically, technology strategies that allow you to innovate more with less and better leverage data to improve the quality of service for your customers. And your customers have embraced and capitalized on new technologies as they're being introduced into the marketplace. People expect certain conveniences, so technology has become a large determining factor of influence for how individuals perceive customer service because they're coming in with higher expectations. But who are your customers? And what are the new expectations of today? Well, your customers are accustomed to instant gratification, as we all are. And they very often juggle multiple priorities. They are information users, and they're also content generators. In other words, it's guaranteed that your customers will rate you on the review sites like Google, Yelp, and Urban Spoon. And finally, they're extremely socially influenced. We'll now set the stage for taking a look at the status quo, and that will help ground our predictions. Did you know that 90% of American adults own a mobile phone, and that by the year 2020, 70% of the world's population will be using smartphones? That means with sophisticated apps, where customers want it all now, and they have instant technology that enables them to approve or even disapprove you and your services. This is a measure of just how central these devices are becoming to how we communicate and even how we're doing business. Technology is pushed past the tipping point where customers experience your brand now by using their device. And notice that 4 years from now, 30% of the world's population will be using a dumb phone. So you need technology that will work for both. Technology has become such a huge part of the way most people are living their day-to-day lives. It's easy to see how changes in customer expectations have grown. According to Pew Research, here are some percentages of smartphone users who have used their phone to do the following in the past year. 62% have used their phone to look up information about a health condition, 57% to do online banking, 40% to look up government services or information, 30% to take a class or even get educational content, and 16% of the U.S. population have used Ulyss to avoid waiting in line. As we move on to the top 4 predictions, please send us your questions or any comments that you have via the questions pane, because we're really excited to answer your questions. And now, I will hand the full controls over to Alex.
Thank you, Amy. So without further ado, let's reveal our 4 predictions for this year. So, number 1, your customers will become more demanding despite the fact that your service will be better than ever. Let me explain. Your service is better than it's ever been. After all, you spent all of last year trying to make it better. And your customers aren't getting any happier. How come? It turns out that the answer can be found in neuroscience. Happiness is a function of expectations. In my last year of high school, I was asked to write an essay on the topic of the more things change, the more they stay the same. That might sound nonsensical at first, but there's a lot of truth to it. The brain adapts very quickly to change, and the happiness derived from improvements is short-lived if change itself doesn't continue in the right direction. You must always be exceeding your customers' expectations. And given that you've never given your customers more than last year, their expectations for this year are as high as ever. I'm going to illustrate this with a tale of two watches. So I'm going to tell you about the features of two different watches. The first one has large digits, an LED backlight with afterglow, a stopwatch, dual time, is water resistant, has a multifunction alarm, a countdown timer, and an hourly time signal. The second watch it shows you the time in all time zones on Earth, monitors your health, has a microcomputer built in, has voice recognition, internet access, includes dating apps, social networking, works in multiple languages. Which of these would you rate a better review? Well, if you thought that the second one, think again. It turns out that the first one was a Casio watch, and the review that it got, or one of the reviews it got, was this watch has it all. Large digits, a bright indigo backlight, a stopwatch, dual time to help those who travel. It's very fashionable, and I get compliments all the time. Probably my favorite watch ever, a must-buy. Now, the second watch, the Apple Watch, here's one of the reviews it got. The apps don't work very well, it isn't fashionable, it's not a good communications device, it isn't even a very good watch. So what's the difference between these two? The difference is time and customer expectations, right? So customers have gotten used to expect everything in that first Apple Watch, in that first Casio watch, and so the Apple Watch needed to deliver so much more, and still it wasn't enough to make people happy. As Louis C.K. said, everything is amazing right now, and nobody is happy. And this applies to your business as well. Just because everybody has been willing to wait in line at your business for years doesn't mean that they will tolerate it in 2016. Expectations are everything, and we see it in the data from our customers too. For example, we ran a study some time ago that looked at what is the chance that a customer that visits one of our customers comes back for a second visit. And we plotted that as a function of how accurate their weight forecast had been. So if it had been really, really accurate, it meant that our forecast was right on with the wait time they actually experienced, or if it was more inaccurate, it means that something happened to deviate that. And it turned out that getting the weight forecast to be more accurate quadrupled, that is multiplied by 4, the probability that these customers would come back to these retail establishments a second time. It wasn't, as you might have thought, giving them shorter weight forecasts that gets them to stay. No, it was actually giving them accurate weight forecasts. And so that's hard to do without technology. In fact, we've seen that when you let a human expert at the location who's seeing what's going on, how many people are ahead, and what's going on with the staff members, and you let them override the automated weight forecast that technology like yours provides, on average, they increase the error of the forecast. Not decrease it, but increase the error of the forecast by 40% when they try to override it. So it's very hard for human experts to do this right. And with that said, let's move on to prediction number 2. And that is that you will hire a data analyst. And the reason for this is that understanding informative data will determine your success and failure more than ever before. And I say this fully aware that most of you do not employ a data analyst today. So I'm going to illustrate this prediction with 2 different stories from the recent past. The first one actually dates from this very week. So just this week, I was visiting a large DMV here in the U.S. who had just awarded a multi-million-dollar contract to what turned out to be the most expensive bidder, thinking that they had awarded it to him proposal that won before adding the hourly fees was $1.5 million. And what this particular DMV's employees did to estimate the impact of the hourly fees was assume that there would be 20 hours of labor involved. And so they calculated that cost at $150 an hour. That was $3,000 of labor, for a total miscalculated cost of $1.573 million. Well, it turns out that if you looked at the data to find out how much labor was actually used in servicing these locations, which these guys could have had available because they had been doing something like this for about a year, turns out that the actual amount of labor was 20,000 hours of labor expected in the 5 years of the contract, or 2 full-time equivalents. So the actual cost of labor using the data was over $3 million, which was about twice the amount of the rest of the contract. So that means that their error in estimating that cost was over 100,000%. And the actual total cost of that contract was over $4.6 million, which was larger than the cost of the solution they actually wanted to get but thought they couldn't afford because of the cost. So here's an example where even a task as seemingly routine as evaluating 2 RFP proposals requires you to use the data wisely to come to the right conclusion. Let's go to a second example from our experience here with our QS customers. Back in ancient history, last year in 2015, I had a meeting with the director of one of the country's largest DMVs and his leadership team. And the meeting was scheduled to figure out the solution to a problem that they had, which was leading to bad press and negative reviews. And the director led off the meeting asking that we not focus on data, but solutions. And yet the solutions were buried in the data. The data about what their customers were doing, what they did change with the establishment's actions. They told a powerful story. And yet data is a language of its own. And like every language, you have to speak it to hear the stories written in it. It turned out that this establishment, like many, had no staff fluent in the language of data. So they were missing the stories. And those stories contained the solutions to their problem. The DMV thought that they had a no-show problem impacting wait times. And they thought that people joining a queue remotely from home might be to blame. And so they shut that convenience off, triggering negative reviews in the process from people who had gotten used to that convenience. But it turns out that when we helped them analyze their data carefully, we found that their no-show rate was actually below average for DMV, so they didn't really have a no-show problem. The no-shows that they did have had a negligible impact on the wait times, and remote queuing from home actually reduced no-shows. In fact, when you look, and this is what this plot on the screen shows, the higher the percentage of people who join the line from home at the DMV, the lower the no-show rate. That's why you see that line trending downwards to the right rather than upwards. But the DMV had no data analysts capable of that analysis, or even of really speaking the language of understanding when this analysis was done. And so in order to take the right actions and provide the right solutions to your customers, you are going to need people fluent in data. A related trend, a second trend, is that more and more of the workforce is becoming part-time, contractors working for multiple employers. Put these two trends together, and the conclusion is that you will start by hiring a part-time analyst. In fact, since I first made this prediction at the turn of the year, the number of job postings on a popular flex time data analyst postings went up by 2,700% just in the last 2 months since last November. So this trend is taking root really quickly. And with that said, let's move to our third prediction for this year. And that's that this year, more than ever before, data will move from historical to real time. So for example, rather than getting the times that are usually best to go somewhere, like Google is used to maybe providing, you'll get real-time data about how long the lines are at each location of your favorite retailer or clinic or government office right now when you choose to go there. And rather than only showing you recorded videos of your friends' past, you'll be able to peer into your network's lives in real time, giving a whole new meaning to standing on the shoulders of giants. Think GoPro meets Facebook. As if we had any spare time in our lives, we'll be able to live a billion other people's lives simultaneously. This trend started going from the 4 networks that we started off with TV in this country, to the hundreds of channels that we have on cable TV today. But it will now move into personalized TV with virtually millions of channels, eventually billions. People will be able to turn their daily activities into their own personal TV channels through our social accounts. It's GoPro meets Facebook. Imagine a channel for every single person on earth to be able to experience life as they see it then. This is relevant for your business too, because if you thought that people paid attention and got a good sense about your business from Yelp reviews, think about how much more of a lively and impactful influence they're going to have when they're able to experience the live experience that your customers that are having the best or worst experiences have in real time around the world. Since I first noted on this prediction, I wrote it up 4 years ago. A couple of startups have come up in the last few months to try to exploit this trend. One of them is Periscope, another one is Market. And Facebook will be going much bigger into this area, so look up for that happening this year. I'll show you a way that this trend is impacting one of our customers today. Johnson County in Kansas, the treasurer's office there, used to, it always had two locations in the same county that people could choose from when going to. And when they launched QLess, they actually had wildly different wait times in those two locations. So if you look at the left of your screen right now, the red is the wait time, the average wait time each month at one of the locations. The blue is the other location. And you can see that, and as they launched QLess, the wait times of those two were completely different. They would oscillate and fluctuate, but they wouldn't be the same. And so it turned out that people were waiting a lot longer who went to one location who could have chosen the location where the wait time was much lower. Once they launched QLess, people started to become able to look at what the wait was in real time before they chose which location to go to. And so what you see is the red and the blue becoming much closer to each other, to the point that on the third month of full QLess use, the wait times were within 1% of each other. And they continue to track each other, going up when a change in technology that they use for processing driver licenses made the process slower, going down as they made improvements in that process, but going up and down together because customers had the information in real time to choose the place with the shortest wait. And so this really makes a difference, and it reduces peak wait times. We're trying to capitalize on this trend even further at QLess by going from traditional historical reports on what happened up to the previous day with our customers to real-time dashboards that provides visual alerts in real time to keep our customers in touch in real time without over-the-order wait times or any situation that requires control. So for example, QLess includes a current forecast wait for each queue, the number of customers currently waiting, the number of customers currently being served, the number of customers that are showing up or not showing up on any given time, and actual wait times, which allows customers to make adjustments in real time. And this trend also has some practical implications for you that you can put in action right away today to make better use of your time. So for example, traffic apps have gone from historical information that like Google and Apple Maps tends to use, which does not have real-time information about each street country, to apps like Waze, which Google recently bought for $1 billion, which provide real-time information on how fast traffic is actually going at the location of each of their users in real time. So this uses location information from this app in each of the smartphones of users to outsmart traffic together using the data in the community as a whole. And if you actually connect Waze to your Google Calendar, you can actually get alerts on when you have to leave for each of your appointments based on the address in your calendar using the real-time traffic updates available at the time that you ought to leave there. In fact, Google Calendar is a tool that allows you to really use real time in your favor, right? So for example, we sent a calendar invitation for this webinar today to make sure that this would show up in your calendars in real time as the time for the webinar came. rather than just burying it in your inbox with something that you might or might not remember. And I can't tell you how many times that makes a difference between having somebody show up at the time and place you want them and not having them. Even in your social lives, just by sending a calendar invite that goes to the calendar of the person you're trying to meet is going to skyrocket the probability that they're actually going to show up there. So finally, our fourth prediction is built on a paradox. And that is that despite ever-increasing productivity gains, which make us more and more efficient with the use of our time will become more scarce and more valuable than it ever has been in 2016. So look at the technologies that we have available today that save us time. We have a telephone that allows us to have a conversation without ever having to go over to the other person's location. We have airplanes that allow us to travel across the world in just hours. We have computers that allow us to compute things much faster than we ever did before. We are able to order food from the comfort of our app in just a few minutes. Imagine how much faster that is than actually having to go hunt a mammoth as in the old times. And yet, despite all of these efficiencies and conveniences that allow you to monitor the security of your own home without having to spend time there looking at things, time will still become more scarce and valuable. Why is this? Well, the answer is the same reason that computers are not getting all that faster to boot, even though their processors keep getting faster. They're doing more and more every year, and so are you. In prehistoric times, our ancestors had time to learn every constellation that dots the heavens. But then again, they didn't read, they didn't write, they didn't play with a Wii or a PlayStation, they didn't go to the movies, they didn't enjoy the theater or the Super Bowl. They didn't learn about what happened in distant lands the day before, as we do today with news in real time. We get to do more with our lives every year. And even with those lives getting longer, the time to do it all will keep getting scarcer, which means that your most valuable asset is your time, and so is your customers. So if you look at the modern man today has, despite having all these conveniences at his fingertips, he has so many more things he can do, right? We have Netflix, we spend time checking on the lives of distant people and being more up to date with our family and friends' lives than we ever had before. We spend time at the gym and playing video games and skiing. These are all things that weren't available before. And so if you needed any proof that that this is a reason that time becomes scarcer and more valuable despite the efficiencies, I have a proof point to offer. My brother-in-law, Alfonso, he is somebody who has eschewed many of the temptations of modern life. He doesn't have a girlfriend or a wife. He doesn't have kids. He drives a 20-year-old car. He lives in his parents' apartment. He doesn't buy games or music. And so he has found that indeed he has a lot of time in his hands, and he was able to just work for a few years and save it up to live and have leisure time for years at a time. But it is when you're trying to get all of the things done that modern life offers, the time actually becomes scarcer. So how do we use this at QLS? We use it to give our customers what we found is the most valuable thing they can give their customers, and that is years of their time back. In fact, to date, we've saved over 50 million customers more than 1,400 years and counting of their customers' time. So how do we do that? Let me spend just one slide telling you about how we get this done. QLS allows customers to join a virtual mobile digital queue from any mobile device anywhere in the planet, find out what the wait is before they choose a sign, then roam freely and stress-free while they wait. QLS will keep them updated and engaged throughout the wait, and then alert them predictably before their turn arrives so that they arrive just in time for service, right? And this makes all the difference. Think back to the 5 characteristics of today's customers that Amy started off earlier in this webinar. Instant gratification, right? With QLS, customers are able to get just-in-time service. Multiple priorities or multitasking. QLS allows customers, we've read reviews on Yelp of customers of our customers saying that they were able to make a sale done and earn a commission while they were waiting in a keyless queue. So it allows them to multitask. We've seen that they're information users, and Keyless allows people to find out what's the best time to visit a location and what's the best location to visit at the time they want to visit it. We've talked about how users today are content generators, and we've definitely seen the content generation go from unhappy reviews complaining about the wait to people raving about how they were able to use their time however they wanted during the wait. In fact, we've seen Yelp reviews go up by 100% in the number of stars they get, even at DMVs, from before they launched Keyless to after they launched Keyless, even when they were using previous technologies such as electronic ticket-taking machines. And finally, we talked about how people today are very socially influenced. And so think about the effect that all those reviews are going to have on all your future customers. So to finish, we're going to quickly overview 4 compelling results based on case studies in 4 different industries with Keyless partners to show you how saving your customers' time will actually increase your profits, improve customer satisfaction levels, reduce wait times, and improves your staff's productivity. So the first one concerns one of the largest cell phone companies in the world, Vodafone, with stores in dozens of countries. We launched at Vodafone now over 4 years ago. They're now using us in multiple countries. And so they allowed their customers to get in a keyless queue as they walk into the store, either by using a touchscreen kiosk or by approaching a concierge using a keyless iPad app. And they saw their profits increase at keyless stores by over $1,200 per month, every month at each store, from a reduction in no-shows that led to 12% more people being willing to wait for service. In the healthcare domain, we have seen a renowned medical group, large urgent care group in the northern Nevada area, improve their patient satisfaction by their own measure by 95% after launch Keyless, a large percentage of which they attributed to Keyless itself. And they've seen their customer numbers going up significantly since too. In the education domain, Collin College, for example, reduced the average student wait time from over 3 hours to just 21 minutes. When you let your customers wait from the comfort of home, office, or anywhere they want, you're able to actually measure the wait time they actually have in your office, location, or store once they actually check in, and you're able to report a much shorter wait time there. And we've had other colleges such as Maricopa Community College District, one of the largest in the country, actually feature Keyless as a strategic accomplishment of the year in their annual report. And finally, in the government domain, Johnson County DMV in Kansas increased staff efficiencies by 50% in their own reports. They won 3 national awards since launching Keyless, and they've gotten 50% of customers to actually get in line remotely before they even show up. In fact, we've had other DMVs have 90% remote queuing adoption. So with that said, I want to thank you for attending today's session by giving you a special offer we've never done before. That's if you eliminate waiting in line with Keyless by Leap Day this year, that's February 29th, we will include a personal consultation with me on how to future-proof your business, how to harness data from your business, benefit from innovations relevant to your business, and calculate ROI for your initiatives at no additional charge. The first 5 businesses to sign up by Leap Day will receive this exclusive offer. And you can just email us at undercontrol@keyless.com, and we'll get you started.
We will now get back to the questions and answers part of the session. So the first question that we have is someone's asked, sometimes our team can get so overwhelmed with technology options that we just end up doing nothing. What are the top 3 criteria that you suggest in evaluating technology vendors?
That's a good question. The number 1 criterion I would use is looking at what their existing customers say, right? So customer retention rate. If you see technology that people are deserting, it's probably not something bandwagon you want to jump into. I mean, at Keyless, it's a metric that we look at very, very closely. For example, in the governor, we have 100% customer retention over the last 9 years since we started. Well, that's a big yardstick to try to keep up with. It's one that makes us very proud and that we constantly work to maintain. So that'd be the first thing I'd look at. Secondly, I look to something that it's future-proof, right? That has legs to go beyond your current needs, because just like we saw at the beginning with the first prediction, what satisfies your customers today is not going to satisfy them next year or the year after that. And so you want to look for a partner that is constantly innovating and providing improvements. I don't know, Amy, do you want to add a third?
Oh my goodness. No, I've been reviewing the questions, so I'm afraid I don't have one.
Yeah, I'd say talk to customers, right? Get customer references and testimonials. That's the best way to know, what things are. And look at something that's built from the ground up for what you're looking in the new era, right? So if you want technologies that are built with mobile in mind, that are built, software as a service, for example, is a huge trend that was probably pioneered by Salesforce.com. And if you're getting technologies today that are not web-based, that are not software as a service, that means that your technology is going to start getting obsolete the moment that you get them, and that somebody's going to knock on your door to sell you a new version down the line. You want software as a service technology that is always up to date, that allows you to launch new updates seamlessly in real time over the web to your locations without having to pay for a trip out there. So I'd say that's a huge trend you should look for, and we're seeing customers all over the world, from government to retail and everywhere else, move toward software as a service.
Thank you, Alex. Another question that we've been asked by the audience is, does QList provide a link between queues of different stores and track an optimal wait plan?
So, if I understand that question, and I'm not sure I do, so feel free to clarify it. I guess Wim in the questions, yeah. So we are working on technology that allows you to estimate the number of staff members you need to provide a particular weight, and conversely to find out what the weight will be when you change your staff numbers to any particular number. And we also do allow you, so if you download the QList app, for example, on the Android store today in your Android smartphone, you can see all the QList locations that are close to you, ranked by location, and you're able to see the weight in real time there. And so yes, you can see the weights for different queues in different locations real time to choose the best one there. And QList also allows staff members to drag and drop a customer from one queue to another if they need to be served by somebody else. So yeah, there's a lot of flexibility there.
Great. Another question that's come in from Jane is, for the dashboard, she wants to know if they can have a different view for administrators versus their customers.
Yes, the dashboard is primarily designed today as an administrator-facing platform. Customers get other ways to look at real-time data. So for example, customers can use the QList widget or QList kiosk to look at the wait time in real time at each of the locations. You can use our API to provide, for example, Renown Urgent Care. Amy, you have a slide on this that you can show on how Renown Urgent Care shows the wait time at each of their locations in real time using the QList API. So that's the kind of thing you do towards customers facing. The dashboard provides much more information in real time to your administrators that is not directly available to the public unless you choose to make it so. So that slide right there that Amy is showing shows you how Renown Urgent Care shows it, right? So they're showing right now there's a 55-minute wait at their Del Monte location. 2 of their locations are closed, so they avoid people showing up there for no reason, and they're diverting that traffic automatically to places. You can see that one of the locations has just a 60-minute wait, whilst another one has a 2-hour and 22 minutes wait, right? So that information, providing that information up front to customers is very helpful. First, because it allows people to choose the one with the shortest wait that is close enough to them. And second, because by joining that line remotely right from Renown's website using QList technology, that wait time doesn't feel like 2 hours and 22 minutes because the customer will continue to do and go about their life and get an alert to show up just in time for service.
Okay, another question's come in from Joseph. He'd like to know if QLess can communicate with other applications, such as healthcare EMR, like Epic.
Yes, so QLess provides a full access to its functions through our API or web services. So as long as the other platform you want to communicate with has API access to, then the two can interact.
Okay, another one from Joseph is, does QLess have the capability to prioritize customers differently based on their needs, as opposed to treating all of them on a first-come, first-served basis?
Yeah, great question, Joseph. So yes, we can have different queues with different that get summoned in different order. We are also able to mark customers with special needs, such as, for example, handicapped access or a language they speak or a particular transaction that they need done, and match that with the skills of the staff member summoning them, which may or may not speak their language, or may or may not be at a window with handicapped access, or may or not be trained to service that particular transaction. And that allows them the staff member to simply click one button to say summon, and QLess does all the hard work of figuring out which is the first customer that is actually being able to be served by that particular staff member. And that's an area of further work too. So this year we have in our roadmap and even more powerful ways to change the vary the priorities of different kinds of customers to make it even easier for customers to do that.
Okay, another question comes in from Mark. He asks, how can I speak with my customers who are unwilling or unable to adopt new technologies, even if it helps them?
That's a great question, Mark. And that's probably the most frequent concern we get about launching QLess is customers who are concerned that their customers are not tech savvy enough. Right? You know, government institutions, for example, who say, hey, I have to handle older population too. Are they going to be savvy enough for QLess? And I can tell you that invariably, our customers tend to be more tech savvy than our customers themselves. QLess is built with the general population in mind. It's not, for starters, we don't require smartphones, right? So QLess works with every cell phone on the planet, including people who just phones that just send text messages. That's enough to get in a QLess queue, get QLess alerts. Even if a customer doesn't know how to do text messaging at all or doesn't have a text messaging plan, QLess allows them to join a line just making a phone call to an automated system of ours, and then getting voice calls back instead of text messages. Even people who have no phones at all or have their phones broken can join a QLess queue using a touchscreen kiosk or talking to a staff member, and then get alerted by an audio monitoring signal or by a visual signal on a monitor. So QLess is really built in a very omni-channel way to handle, and we get 100% adoption at 100% of our locations. So QLess is not just for the tech-savvy crew in Silicon Valley. It's very much used. I mean, we would never have reached 50 million users if we didn't handle everybody in the population.
Great. So we have time for just a couple more of your questions. If there's any more burning thoughts or questions you have in mind, please send them our way through the questions pane. The next question comes from Natasha. She's asking if she wants to poll her customers. So she's asked, as we consider polling our customers so that we can manage customer service, we want to know if we can actually address their feedback. But we're in a government office and can't always make changes quickly. What do you suggest?
Right. So, I mean, this is a challenge we face internally here too, right? So we have customers all over the world, and all of them have great ideas on how to improve QLess and add things to capabilities to the platform. So we tend to we are constantly launching new releases. We tend to launch about 40-something new features per year, and those come primarily from customer requests. So QLess, yes, does allow you to gather feedback from your users, and yes, it allows you to message back to them and communicate back. So QLess is a two-way communication tool in addition to a queue management platform. And so the basic answer is yes. QoS will make it easier for you to communicate with your customers and address their feedback.
Okay. Another question has just come in. How can we have multiple counters serving customers? In the conventional queuing system, customers can visit the counter where his or her number is displayed on a display counter.
Yeah, so QoS handles that. We create an account for each staff user, and so they log in, and then they tell us what window they're seated at that time. So they simply click one button to tell us they want to summon the next customer, and QoS knows then to summon the next customer to that particular counter window. So that shows up in the QoS monitor. It shows up in text messages. It gets communicated in the voice calls. And so you can have multiple staff members drawing customers from the same queue, or you can have the same staff member drawing customers from multiple queues. So it's very flexible that way. You can imagine that in order for us to serve customers as diverse as a DMV, a retailer like Vodafone, an urgent care facility, we have shooting ranges, restaurants, colleges. These are all very different needs. We work with Dow Chemical and industrial. We work with airports. So these all have very different needs, and the way to address them is we have a very versatile platform that's very customizable.
Okay, and now for our last question as we're nearing the top of the hour here. Eve has asked, will QList implement any updates or enhancements this year based on our predictions?
Great question, Eve. So yes, absolutely. So for example, to deal with a real-time prediction, we have launched Dashboard and will continue to enhance it to provide more real-time information. In order to, because we believe that time is the most valuable thing we can give our customers, we are expanding QoS to allow them to give even more time to our customers. The data aspect, we are hiring data analysts ourselves and continue to make enhancements to our reporting to make it easier for our customers to get actionable recommendations and action items from their QoS data. And so on. So absolutely, we're taking these very seriously, and we're putting our money where our mouth is.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Alex. And thank you again, everyone who sent in their questions. This was a very engaged audience, and we really appreciate all your involvement today. Just as a reminder, we'll be sharing the recording of the webinar after the event, so please watch your inbox for that. And if you'd like to personally reach out to me or Alex, we've posted our current contact information on this slide. So thank you all so much again for joining us today, and we wish you a wonderful afternoon.
Thank you very much. Have a great 2016.